Sometimes people call me Chunk.
Thank you for tuning in to Terry Swoop Videos. I'm going to do a Where They Now on the actor who played Sloth in Goonies. The man's name was John Matuszak. He was a football player in the 1970s and early 80s. And when he played in this movie, it came out in 1985. And it was directed by Richard Donner, and it was produced by Steven Spielberg. And when he played in this movie, he had already retired from playing football. And this was one of his first major roles as an actor. And it took 5 hours a day to apply the makeup for the character Sloth. And this was one of my favorite movies as a kid. It was hugely successful. It was one of the highest grossing movies of the 1980s. And this was Josh Groban's first major movie role. This movie made Josh Groban a star. And without this movie, he would not be the star that he is today. And this movie also had so many child actors, so many legendary child actors from the 80s. Corey Feldman, Sean Astin, Kerry Green, a lot of great child actors in this movie. Now going back to John Matuszak. John was the first pick in the NFL draft in 1973. He stood 6'8" and he weighed 280 pounds, playing defensive end. When he was drafted by the Oilers in 1973, he signed a lucrative contract. But he ends up signing to the WFL, who offered him more money. But the Oilers didn't know about his other contract with the WFL. So they end up cutting him. He ends up going to the Chiefs later on in the 70s. And then the Chiefs end up trading him to the Raiders in 1976. And this is where he has his most success. He played for the Raiders between 1976 and 1982. He won 2 Super Bowls during that time period. He started acting while he was playing football. His first acting role was in the North Dallas 40 with Nick Nolte. And then he played in numerous roles during the early 80s, and then he gets the role in Goonies in 1985. He appeared on the A-Team with Mr. T. He also appeared on MASH. So he appeared in numerous TV shows throughout the 1980s. But his biggest problem was drugs and alcohol. He had a serious problem with drugs and alcohol. And this ends up being his demise. He dies from an overdose in 1989. He was only 38 years old when he passed away. And most people who knew him said he was a gentle giant. He was always good with kids. He always did community work in his community. He was a great man. He just had a problem with substance abuse. Like a lot of celebrities, like a lot of athletes did during the 80s. A lot of great athletes, a lot of talented men and women died from overdoses during the 80s. God rest his soul. A lot of people are still not aware that he played Sloth in Goonies. So I just wanted to do this video and pay tribute to him. I was always a huge fan of when I was growing up in the 80s. A lot of people have different opinions about this topic. Leave a comment, rate, and subscribe.